think we'll get started. Everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
I don't need a mic then. Anybody can't hear me, let me know. My military background, I guess. So 30,000 on the screen, anybody know what that number means?
Cyber workforce in the DoD. The number. What we need to hire.
Somebody else?
What needs to be hired.
What needs to be hired? So let's first cover your cyber workforce in the DoD, military, civilian, contractors. You can tell you how big that is? Anybody know? Real close. 225,000. 225,000. Just real quick, how many here from corporate? Just one, two, okay, a couple. How many here? DoD, any component civilians? Okay. In the middle here, how many in cyber? Okay. So some of you, when I talked yesterday, you'll hear some of the same things today. Go next slide. So transforming talent, that's what we're about. I am in charge, I'm Mark Breck. I am the principal deputy, principal director, which means I'm the deputy to DCIO, for resources analysis. I'm a data scientist. Any other data scientists in here? I have 5 kids, 2 in high school, 1 at Virginia Tech and the Fort Jets. My second oldest is a Ranger Regiment Cyber Company Commander. Current strength about 60%. That's not good. My oldest, first Cyber Commissioned Officer of West Point, 2014. He graduated and he said to me, "Dad, all I want to do is sit behind a computer all day." And I looked at him as a brand new second lieutenant, and I said, "You just graduated from the military academy. Your job is to lead soldiers." "Dad, I really don't want to do that. I want to sit behind a computer all day." So I said, "That's not what you're hired to do." Well, lo and behold, 4 years later, he proved me 100% wrong. He spent half the time in school, the other half he went to NSA, grew a beard, worked from like 2 o'clock in the afternoon to like midnight, because that's what he liked to work. As a offensive, I can't really say exactly what he did in this room. But a programmer. That's what he did for his military career. Graduated, finished NSA, got a master's degree from MBS, got out of the military, and he got a great job in corporate. Okay? Still a success story. Although he proved that wrong. Why did he get out? You may have any ideas? Why did he get out? He loved programming for, it's not money. He loved programming for the military. He loved the mission.
He wanted to buy a computer. And he knew that was the rules.
He wanted to stay behind the computer programming.
Rules.
What rules?
Ears, got 8 doors.
Beards. Somebody picked up on it too. Right? He wore a civilian uniform all day. Civilian uniform. He wore civilian clothes all day and had a beard. However, the Army requires you to do a PT test. And in order to do a PT test, you cannot have a beard. And you have to do it at 4 o'clock in the morning. And his commander made him do it on a Friday morning every quarter. So diagnostic, and then for record, et cetera, et cetera. That's why he got out. Okay, so culture. We're going to talk about culture a little bit. Is that right or wrong? We can argue that all day long. That's one data point, right? I'm curious in the military here. My son, who's a cyber company commander for the Ranger Regiment, I talk to his people. They die hard, loving the mission. That's the Ranger Regiment. So different population. Any Rangers in here? 1. All right. Good. 1 cap. All right. So I'm going to cover a couple things in here. I like an open discussion, so interaction's fine by me. Okay? So you know a little bit about my background. So I'm passionate about this, right? I'm invested in this. I spent 33 years in uniform. Vision, go back one, mission vision. Yeah, typical military slide, what's our mission, right? That long mission. What I really want to focus on is the vision, though. This is where we're headed, right? How do we make DoD, or the federal government, the most dominant force in the world, right? Do we need to be that? What's our competition? Are our adversaries pursuing this? Right? So if we don't keep up, we're falling behind. Right? So 30,000 short in DoD, 1 million short in the world, 770,000 short in the USA. That's the cyber talent that we're short today. And my requirements for the department are going up faster than I can keep up with supply. So I'm getting worse, not better. Right? So how do we fix this? So doing the same thing we've always done? I don't think it's going to work. We've been at this for over a decade, and we're getting worse, not better. So in my opinion, we can do something different. What is that different? I don't know. I'm going to try a bunch of stuff. Okay? Easy for me to do it, OSD, because I just write the policy and expect you all to execute. Okay? So we'll see how far you come on that journey. Okay, 4 goals. But what am I after? I'm after identification, recruitment, retention, and development. How many people here have been to training in the last 6 months? Cyber training specifically. Okay, I'm happy to see the civilian hand going up. That's great. Military. When's the last time you all had cyber training updates? When? I missed it. Was it?
Cyber awareness.
Oh, yes. That annual requirement, which is so refreshing and teaches you so much, right? Everybody knows by the time you publish, by the way, my shop is, that's one of my shops that have to do that. Sorry, I apologize up front. I always find it ironic when a person coming in and take your cyber workers training, you need a CAT card to log in. You can't get a CAT card until you have cyber workers training. Okay, that's stuff we do at OSD, okay? Policy. I know it doesn't make sense. But if you've never taken cyber workers training, the first time you take it, it's okay. This is worse than what we do. But already, all of the, okay, let me back up. Who's a cyber warrior? Everyone should raise your hand. Because our weakest link, right? Even that E1 who clicks on that phishing email and installs our whole networks, right? And I used to do red teaming on Cyber. I got in 100% of the time. 100% of the time. So it's there, right? So I'm getting in as a red team, and I have no special access, no special privileges as a red team member. Think of the enemy, right? So we're all cyber warriors from that aspect. So we all have to understand a little basic knowledge, right? And then if you're doing network analysis, offensive, defensive, we'll come up with roles. Does everybody know what a work role is? Who does not know what a work role is? Raise your hand. Be honest. It's fine. Okay, wow. This room is already great. You guys know what a work role is. That's the foundation. Okay, that's the identification part. Community work roles are innovative. They're revolutionary. They're totally different. It applies to military, all components, contractors, and civilians. The idea is, I don't care what your branch is, what your MOS is, what your occupational series is, what contract you're on, I care about what you're doing. What you're doing. Okay? And everyone doing that function all have to have the same requirements for proficiency. Do we agree with that at least? Now let's bump it up. Should we all have the same pay? I think yes. If I'm doing a function and I'm at a certain proficiency level, we should all be getting paid relative to the same thing. Is that true today?
No.
Can it be? Yes, it can be. And I'll show you some techniques of how to do that. Okay, next slide. So, foundation for this, as a data scientist, I'm very much interested in data. If I don't have data, I can't make good decisions. You can't either. What training is required? How much training? What knowledge, skills, abilities, and tasks are required for your position? You all know what those are. When you go into your job, do you know all of the knowledge, skills, abilities, and tasks required to perform that job at the basic level, at the intermediate level, at the advanced level? I've given it all to you. I've told you what those are. So if you have a work role assigned and coded in the system, I then track that for the entire department. We published our manual, 8140, in February. Most of the components have 2 years to implement that. That's our training qualification manual, which means you have 15 months left to code your proficiency levels into the system. 225,000 people, 75,000 military, 75,000 civilians, 75,000 contractors. I have about 1,200 coded today. Need your help there. It's a human capital management challenge. Right? First challenge is coding in general. Different systems for manpower, spaces compared to faces. Different systems for the military, different systems for the civilians. No system for contractors. Okay? How do we code that? Just your position of what you're doing. I call it high school level coding. In 15 months, you have to do PhD level coding, which means I need your 3 potential work roles and what level of proficiency you are in each one. But if I have that information, you then can justify training. Right? Because you know what level you are, you know what level you need, and I can tell you exactly what it costs to get there. And I'll give you about 10,000 options. No joke. Right? All these vendors down the hall, they all want to do this for you. Charge you for it. Right? And then I'm going to build in a feedback loop in that. So that if you pay $10,000 for this training, and it was no good, you can say so. If you pay $1,000 for this training, same training, and it was outstanding, give me the feedback. The usually doesn't work that way. But we'll have the feedback. Okay? Okay, so back. Data is the foundation. Again, those are the 4 pillars. I use this data. Work roles is the foundation. I use that data to help with these decisions. Right? So real quick, identification I discussed. Recruitment. What recruitment tools do you have available to you today? Direct hire. So civilians under cyber accepted service, specifically with direct hire authorities. For actual IT, we also have direct hire authorities. Okay? Military, you guys got lots of recruiting services. Air Force here, you got Air Force, a couple. Army is here, Navy. Okay. Marine Corps, one Space Force. No Air Force is switched over yet. Yeah, so military, you have all your recruiting. I have no issues right now recruiting military. We do it about locality, but not in cyber. Okay? If you go to a recruiting station right now in Hawaii, and I open up a 17 series for Army, it'll be filled like that. Why is that? Because I give you a year plus of training. I think through that ASVAB process, we kind of identified aptitude. Our failure rates are higher than I'd like. I identify aptitude, I give you a year plus of training, I give you 3 to 4 years of experience, and now I can't retain you. Which I look at as a still win for the nation. Right? So they go become our contractors. Or become a civilian. Right? Or go work for industry. It's a win-win-win for the nation. I'm short 30,000, the nation's short 730,000. Okay? I still view that as a win. On the civilian side, recruitment. By the way, on the military side, retention, all the services have retention bonuses. Every one of them. You also have, depending on the service, cyber pay. I'll call it cyber pay. Okay, depending on your level of proficiency, how many years of service you have. How much that's implemented is up to the service. Okay? But we do have recruitment bonuses, and those should be used to the widest extent. On the civilian side, recruitment. Can't recruit, hard to retain. Can't recruit because my position descriptions say you need a PhD and 20 years of experience doing AI for this entry-level GS5. Right? Actually, OPM guidelines. You know, if you have a bachelor's degree in IT, you're from a 2210 as a GS5. You have a master's degree to be a GS7. You have a PhD to be a GS9 from the system. You can read OPM right now. Those are education requirements for 2210 IT specialists. You have about 50,000 of them. Wow. That's really hard. Or you can have experience. The experience is 1 year in the grade you get the board. So, hard to recruit on the civilian side, because most people don't have PhDs, and if you did, you're sure you're not working for GS9 Tech. So what do we have available to us? I'll just mention here, we have the 3 R's. We have relocation, we have recruitment, and we have retention bonuses. For cyber, right out the board, all your commands use 25% base pay. Wow. And if you want to do one of them, you can't do all 3. Right, one at a time. For cyber, with OPM approval, we've got 50%. How many people are using these incentives? 1%. 1%. We saw a little type tip up since we've been doing this, so about 1.5%. We're not using them. Okay? That's available to you to use. Okay? So some of the incentives. Within the CES, so cyber acceptance, anybody cyber acceptance service here? 1, 2. You know what work role you guys are? General manager, okay, engineer. Okay, so you don't, your work role do not, we have a targeted local market supplement. So that's about a 40% increase in Hawaii. Okay, from your base salary. Okay, we determine what those are. We, all that data you give us, we determine that shortfall. We put that in place. It's a must-pay bill for the services. Okay, so they don't have a choice. Unlike the 3 R's, they have a choice. TLMS, degree control, they do not have a choice. So if you pay on the service, the cyber people tell us, make them all TLMS. The H, give me H in here. Budget people? Okay, good for that. They fight me on this, because it's a must-pay bill, right? It's a pay bill. Okay, next slide. So, high in the clouds in the Pentagon, we put out this strategy. With those 4 goals, 4 pillars, and the strategy is pretty much worth the paper it's written on. Right? Believe it or not, that's how we get graded. Oh, I have something signed by the Deputy Secretary of Defense. Yay, I did my job. No one reads it, no one cares, it doesn't do anything, but we do a strategy. Anybody else feel that way? When I was in your seat, okay, yeah, you guys do a strategy. Yes, you say we're recording, okay. Next slide. So the real power behind strategy is implementation plan. So the implementation plan tells you, okay, great, how are you going to achieve this strategy? So we have 38 initiatives in this implementation plan. I intentionally did not limit the number of initiatives. I am not going to stand up here as a senior executive and say, that won't work. You know, my heart might say, my experience might say it won't work. I don't want to be that guy. Anybody have leaders like that? Oh, we tried that 10 years ago, it didn't work. We're not going to try it again. So instead, what I told the team is we're going to try everything. Whatever idea you have, let's put it in there. And then we'll use data to see if it works or not. Okay? So if I have a recruiting initiative, and my recruiting numbers still are terrible, it didn't work. If they bump up, then it worked. I'm going to use data to tell me if it's working or not. How many people do we recruit by that? Okay? So that's what we're doing. Anybody here on our work teams for that? Because I can't do it alone. Right? I can't do the implementation alone. It requires you guys. So every other Friday we have a working group. I highly recommend if you're a senior leader here and you want to get involved, please contact Justin. And he will point you in the right direction to get involved with this. Okay? You need your help. You can't do it alone. All the components are planned. The problem is each component is the 1 to 8, the 3s of the world. They have like 1 or 2 people working in cyber workforce, so they have to do all 30 initiatives. So can't really do them all at the same time. Okay, I've challenged the team in this to be agile, flexible, and responsive to you, our customers. We have to be responsive. So that means that I'm going to kill initiatives if they're not working. I'm going to add new ones if people have other ideas. Okay? Work roles. How often can I change a work role? You may have a clue. How often does the Pentagon change anything? Anybody have an idea?
Change whatever you want.
I wish. So there's a 4-star level body that I run. It's got the PNR, the CIO, and the PCA of the OSD on the board. All politicals, all 4-star equivalents. They're the head of the boards. Every quarter I have that board. Every quarter I can change the work role for their approval. Okay? So last year I changed almost 30 work roles. We started with 54, we're now to 72. We added data, AI, and software. And in adding those, they had to change some of the tasks and KSAs for the others. Okay? So I'm trying to be agile and flexible. The problem is, every time I change a work role, what effect does that have on all of you? You got to get a memo. You have to change your work roles. You have to change, it affects some portion of your people. And it also changes your qualification standards, the proficiency levels. So I have to balance how fast I change these with how fast you can implement. Right? So I have to balance that. So give me feedback if I'm going too quickly, but I'm trying to be responsive to you. Because why? The cyber mission is constantly changing. If you did cyber 5 years ago, or even 2 years ago, you come back to it today, it's a different mission. The technology is changing, the enemy is constantly changing, our threats are becoming faster, more dynamic. We're not using AI, we're already wrong. So we have to keep the training up. So I understand you're at 60% strength, and I'm telling you to go to training. Right? How do you balance that? Okay, next. So work roles. I'm glad everybody in this room understands work roles. I'm going to cover this a little bit. This is the foundation. This is a revolutionary, innovative change. It's causing disruption to the entire HR community. They hate it because it's totally different. Foundation is the work you're doing. Advice, what occupational service you are, what PD you run, the branch you're in. Right? I don't care. The service, I don't care. What are you doing? It's all come together into the mission. Also, I said contractors. Contractors have these requirements for KSEX. Okay? Any new contract you have today, you hire them to work in cyber, they have to meet these KSEX. Which is, they love it because the task was very clear in the KSEX. Okay? So, revolutionary foundation. I'm not going to go into all of it because you guys know, but there's a whole mess of framework here, and the department loves this. The highest level of the department love this. So we started with cyber. We've now expanded, I'll call it digital. You might hear the innovation workforce, similar. AI, software, data. And now we're going to even expand it beyond. So our workforce is called the Defense Cyber Workforce. We're going to see the Defense Intel Workforce Framework, Defense Intel Workforce Framework, Financial Workforce Framework, HR Workforce Framework. These are going to expand through the whole department. Okay? So if your HR community don't like work roles, oh, guess what? You got to figure out how to make this faster. Okay? Next slide. Why they matter? Everybody, I think I covered this. So we have 3. We can have up to 3 in the system. Right? Primary, secondary, tertiary. So you can have 3 different work roles. Of those work roles, you have 3 levels of proficiency for each. Basic, we set the standard for basic. All the KSATs in our workflow framework is the basic level. Your commands. How many supervisors in here? Supervisors. Guess what? You're responsible for assigning the intermediate and advanced levels of KSATs. What are those proficiency levels look like? Okay? And then you're responsible for assessing them to make sure people are trained to that level. Okay? So I'm putting more requirements on it. Who else should do that? Who else could do that? I can't do that. Not under a specific mission. So you need to do that. So it's additional requirements. Okay? That's fine. Here we are. No, you can't read it. That's all 72, I believe. That's amongst all the enablers. Right? Then HR, read whole command. Just whole answers. Just one of those to hire you. So I'm not mandating anywhere of an educational level to work in cyber. In other words, if you're a high school dropout because you spent your nights gaming and programming gaming, I want to hire you. If you can do the job and meet the KSATs, I can hire you. Now, there's a huge cultural shift from what I just said and actually being hired. And we have to overcome those boundaries. Okay? So that's where I'm at. So you notice those words or. That's in policy. Or. Right? So no longer will I require those. Okay? Now, what is the minimum level required? That's the hiring manager. Right? But in policy, it is or. There's a huge shift from the way we've done business before. Okay? So experience. Right? What I'm ultimately after is skill-based hiring. Where I don't really care what degree you have. I'll use myself as an example. I have 2 master's degrees, applied mathematics, data scientist, undergrad in EE and mathematics. My first because I was geek computer programmer. So if you put me in front of a computer today, I have a lot of contractors coming in with their ranges. Go next door, Cyber Challenge, right? The winning team from Cyber Challenge, why can't I hire those people? You think they know how to do their job? A specific job in cyber? Yes, I think so. They just proved it. Okay? So that's the kind of thing I'm after. That's the innovation, the thinking I'm after. The culture fights me on this every day. Can't give me amount of components or services on any one tool. And maybe one tool isn't the answer. Right? So that's where we're headed. After we get that solved, I want skills-based annual assessments. So what does that look like? As technology changes, our skills are need to be updated, our training needs to be updated, and I throw you in a cyber range every year and see if you're proficient. And if you are proficient at the intermediate or advanced level, I think we should incentivize that to encourage that behavior. So that incentive will look like whatever you think incentives look like. I don't know, I'll throw a number out, I threw it out yesterday. If you're advanced level, which is less than 5% of our population, maybe $20,000 a year is about right. That's too good. That plus the 50% fixed bump in base pay, I think is very good. Okay? So, 8140. Again, kind of revolutionary with the experience piece. Do your HR communities enforce this? They need your help. They tell them you can't require that educational level. Okay? It'd be nice, but I can also look at experience. I can also look at certifications. I can also look at other. Okay? Next. Okay, so that's kind of my pitch to you today. So everything is data-based for me. Everything starts with work roles. We build up from the strategy to the implementation plan, and then we meet. Okay? That QR code goes to the strategy. that link at the bottom, DoD Emerging Tech, go to the web real quick. They have the Emerging Tech website up. Can you close it? So there's the framework. Click on it. And go back to the first half. So that's the website, DoD Emerging Tech. Click on it, just pop over DoD programs. Here are all the programs we offer. Everybody, you guys know we offer cyber scholarship programs. We pay for them all. Any cyber scholarship graduates in here. Okay, so you're a component out there and you need some civilians to join your team. I pay for the scholarship. I pay for them to intern with you in the summer so they can start the security clearance. So when they graduate, they have their full security clearance and a degree. If you're civilians in, or it's only civilians, I believe, civilians in right now and you want to go to grad school, apply for our scholarship program. You send you to grad school for 2 years. If you're advanced degree, you go back 3 years of commitment back to your unit. Okay? Is that a successful program? It's very popular. I'm still looking at the metrics there. It's very extensive. And I can't see it. Okay? Last year I had about 926 applicants and did 86 scholarships. Very slow. By the way, who picks those 86? The components that are hiring those people do. So you get the pick, you're going to the crop. Okay? And I pay the whole bill. Not a bad deal for you all. Okay? So you have somebody who's going to the University of Hawaii, and you're here in Hawaii, and you want that graduate, give them a scholarship. Have them apply. Okay, this is one of the things. Cyber exchange program. So we have several exchange programs, both with internal to federal, internal to DoD, and external with industry. Any exchange students in here? No, another program we have available. Okay? Only issue I have with that program, I'm going to look at the data. Every time we send an individual to industry, will they come back? If they don't come back, I'm not so sure it's a good program for us. So, and most components I talk to say, oh, we want to get people from industry to come work for us, but we want to get anybody to industry. I like that better as an option, but it's got to be both ways. Okay? So help me with that. But those are the rest of the programs. Real quick, click on the second tab. In the industry here doing training programs. Second tab. DoD Cyber Workforce Qualification Program. Right off this site.
I'm already on.
You're scroll down. Scroll down. Go down. Tab right there. Register to become a provider. I'm hoping to offer you all about 10,000 providers. I have to certify every provider. 10,000 providers. If I do it, it'll take me about 4 or 5 years. So I'm going to use AI to do it. So no human in the loop on this one. Sorry. And then I'm going to use your feedback to tell me if it's actually a good choice. Did the AI make the right choice? No, you tell me. I'm going to tell you what providers provide for what KSATs, for what work role, and at what level. And they put in the cost, we put in how long the training is. You pick. Your choice. Obviously, the mill side, your military is free. So the military, you have to work on the slot, right? And I'm trying to give you justification for those ones. Okay? I'm ready for questions. Go ahead.
On the programs, you have any other coalition partners? So the number one operation I have, the number one question we get is how do we get support for your you have any coalition partners?
So one of our 30 initiatives is to increase those partnerships with our coalition partners. This is revolutionary here within the DoD. I just briefed Canada and Britain, I think, came in and I briefed them on our programs. They like the ideas of work rules. They're nowhere near getting there yet. By the way, work rules are so rapid. I briefed Walmart here. Walmart would love to have this. They don't know the level of proficiency of their workforce, or how many they have and how many they need. Right? At a corporate level. The individual contractors might know, but not to the corporate level. So it's harvest them and engage the shortfall. Okay, that's one of our initiatives. I could use help on that one. So, how big is my shop? Does all of this? How many?
7.
6. 6. Only 6 people, so not big. Sir.
So we're going to, a statement and a question. The statement is that the HR people need to get training on this because they're the ones that aren't implementing the cyber recruitment. For instance, I've been at the ASCC level as a senior IT, but I'm kind of with the Navy and Marines right now in Japan. And whenever we try to do direct hires, you're still pulling up the old OPM rules for, clearing family members and veterans, and they just don't understand. Also, not really a cyber work role, but I mean, I'm having trouble even convincing them to change, 391 to 2210, where we have like voice over IP, because they're stuck in the old OPM classification guides. So my statement. My question is, I noticed as we're going through our cyber roles in Japan and reviewing them, I see 2 terms that I kind of try to figure out. There's the cybersecurity workforce, but then I'm also seeing cybersecurity IT workforce listed separately. Is that like everybody else that's not CES yet, but still 2210?
Yeah, so we're going through a transition here, right? I can't answer that specific question because I have to get my guys to tell me the difference there. But when we rolled out Cyber Accepted Service, it was optional. Once you made the decision to join CES, you're in. Those who didn't, when they leave, that position will become CES. And by the way, if you're in a non-CES position and you're offered, for whatever reason, we did not allow the flexibility to change your mind. And now that I'm paying TLMS, a lot of them are very upset that they didn't go CES. Because now the person next to them is 40% bump instead of line. Okay, set different pay tables, like in that later. Okay, so then they have to apply for that CES job because they chose not to take it. The HR statement, 100% true. Right? Even in my own headquarters, I run the program, and HR tells me I can't direct hire. And I don't blame them. The reason I don't blame them, not an HR person, is there's 40-some direct hiring authorities. No one HR specialist, GS9, GS7, knows them. When they go to school, they learn the OPM Title V standard. They get graded on, they follow that standard. So if they deviate from that standard and they do it incorrectly, the appeal goes to them. And they're found, whatever, liable. Okay? So they're very risk averse. Okay? No one wants to skip a veteran. No one wants to not have competitive hiring. Although by definition, CES is not competitive hiring. It is. Okay? So I will tell you, I am working on a pilot right now with the highest levels of PNR to get around all of that. And when I say get around it, I said bend the law, but not break it. And that freaks out HR. So my idea is I think I can hire in 25 days or less. The number one deal breaker for me is security clearance. That's my bottleneck. I'm going to turn the hiring process upside down with the candidate and the candidate experience as the primary goal. Today we don't give a crap about, we don't care about the candidate. Right? So you apply for a job, you may get an email in 6 months saying you were qualified. You may not. You may get a call in 6 months saying, oh, come in for an interview. Go in for your interview. 6 months later, you might get a tentative job offer. No communication. Right? I want to turn it upside down and have mentors, so I'm use AI to do all that groundwork. Now, free up the HR community to actually talk to people. If you didn't get a job or weren't qualified, I'll tell you why you weren't qualified. You didn't have this experience. You didn't have this KSAT. I can do this in cyber, especially on the cyber defense service. Okay? So communication with the candidate, groom our candidates, have a pool of 10,000 candidates for every 100 jobs. If I gave you a pool of 1,000 qualified candidates or 100 qualified candidates for your position, specific work role, would you hire off that list? I'm going to make it competitive so that all the hiring managers have the same list. First come, first served. So that's just one of the things I'm working on doing. Every step I take, HR throws me back. And then I take another step. I'll get there. I will. So I just don't know how fast I can turn this. Okay? There's a fundamentally different way of hiring, which industry does today. Anybody been on Monster.com? Anybody did LinkedIn? Anybody get job offers? I get them every day. I got 2 this morning. If you or someone you know would be interested in this job, right? Why are we doing that? Right? So that's just some of the things we're trying to do. Revolutionary different. So I understand your frustration. I'm trying to help you, but I can't train all the HR professionals out there. So I like to skip them. By the way, I like to skip PDs. I don't need PDs. I'm a KSX. Much more powerful than PDs.
Subsequent organization?
What's your organization?
SOCOM.
So I think SOCOM came up. So the reason why I pick very selective organizations, I'll tell you what they are, they're DISA and the US Cybercom, because those organizations are 100% CES. So I own them. They're my program. So, and they're hiring authorities, if you will, or DFAS. So, and now for Cybercom is Army. So I have direct links with them, and I'm using their hiring authorities to mitigate their stance. So, SOCOM, I don't own you, and I will tell you this, if this is successful, I will literally have a list of thousands of qualified applicants. I will open that up to all of them. That would go. That's my goal. Yes, sir.
2 of the 4 things you mentioned was recruitment and retention. Out of that, with, say, I'm looking at high school students, particularly like juniors and seniors. Are there any initiatives for them? It's just like maybe, hey, you can intern for the summer and then potentially bring you on, grow you, retain them, things of that nature.
Yeah, nothing's stopping you from doing that today. What organization are you in?
I'm with National Security Agency, actually.
Oh, they already do it.
Yeah.
Just
But I'm
like-
saying, but it's a lot harder, right? Because, I mean, for us, because of the clearance process and all that. But I'm just saying in general, because I know I work with a lot of high school
So in
students.
general, I need your help with this too, right? So we need more entry-level positions. If we look at our demographics across the board, our number 1 demographic, we're short in cyber now, I'm talking, in cyber. Anybody know our number 1 demographic we're short for diversity? What?
Females.
Females, absolutely, females. Well, less than 30% strength. The national average is 51%. That's our biggest delta. And you look at this room, we actually have several females in here, but still not enough. It's not 50% is where we need to be. Okay, female demographic. So how do I hire more females? I have to get them interested earlier. In grade school, believe it or not. Grade school, they get the stat now, but by 7th grade, like 60% of kids, when they hit 7th, we have their choices in mind for a career. And 99% not consider federal service. They don't know about it.
It's hard to get them to get it. I can speak, I have a daughter who had a hard time.
Okay, so that's my 1 short demographic. My number 2, probably not a demographic per se. If you look at this room, you got some gray hair, in here. It's age. Old. If you're young, thank you. We need you. We need young talent, which means I need more entry-level positions. Entry-level salaries, I said entry-level positions. Proficiency levels, minimum. We need to groom our position. The days of hiring PhDs at GS9, they're over in this field. Can't get there. So, groom our own and train our own cyber scholarship program. One of them, bring them in on GS9. Get them to school. Let them progress. Okay? One of my rank in file, is that the correct term? In person? Anybody know what that means? It means I can stop and progress in rank. So I can start off as a GS7 and go to and then 11, all in the same job. Okay? I'm trying to get that yet.
It's not even career though, in some cases.
Well, so, right,
Career path.
if you don't want to stay in the one work role, you want to switch around, then that's career pathing.
Right.
How do I get from here to here? Sir?
So along those lines, I've heard talk of spec, or sort of technology check. I just want to keep what we used to have.
Yeah. So, I'm not as in favor of that. I am in the warrant officer aspect. I think warrant officers have what service here? Yeah. So put them in a school. My recommendation, for instance, for the Army Software Factory, if you're enlisted, you pass the software factory, you're automatically a warrant officer. I don't know. I just push it along. I don't know if that happened or not, but I think that's more of a solution for people who want to stay in their certain job forever, and that's going to be a bonus so they can match the pay. That's my solution there, rather than spec nine.
You mentioned DFAS earlier. When do you expect the requirement to hit for contractors with regard to compliance?
So the policy, when the contract renews, that's when there's or a new contract. Okay, the current contract, I can't, law forbids me from adding to your tax in contract. So, good question.
Speak a little more to what you envision for standardizing salaries across the board. I think that is necessary because there could be a lot of practice within the different organizations, but a little bit more. But within this AOR, we're dealing with places in remote and isolated areas or in very extreme conditions, such as the Arctic or on an atoll of the I'm just kind of curious into what that would look like if everybody has the same access to PRs and I think the TLMS that you mentioned.
Yeah, so to be clear, the 3 R's in TLMS apply to civilians. Right? TLMS specifically cyber accepted service. There's 75,000 civilians, only 15,000 in CES. That's what our workforce is. Okay, and growing. Okay. My way, if I get Congress to approve, I can grow all 75 to CES. Right now I cannot, because of the way the law is written or to cyber mission. But how do I parity? How do I get parity? So let me start with civilians, right? Act demo, you all know the defense intelligence system, DCIPS. NSA bumps, then I bump. We bumped, so NSA has to bump, right? Well, we should coordination and bump together. Okay, when I say bump, we keep increasing the rates, right? And we base the rates off of local market conditions. So your austere conditions, very hard to get that local market, right? I don't have a solution for that one yet. It's an interesting challenge. There are other pay incentives that will help for austere conditions. But we have to do better coordination of assuring that everyone doing the same work for the same pay. Okay? Now, when I say that, it's in, right? I control civilian pay. I don't control the 1% bonus this year. No, totally separate. Each component controls their own. Each has a different pay system for cyber. So much more difficult to control the mill side because each component is responsible for their. But what I show them is data to say, hey, your Air Force brethren doing this work are being this. Is this level of proficiency? It's all tied to proficiency. Army, you need to equate. You need a salary bump, right? Or offer that bonus. Okay. So the mill side's a lot more difficult, and then the hard thing to do is contractors. Because I can't set the actual contractor pay. All I can set is the contract pay. So everybody knows we pay the contract a lot. Individuals get paid per FTE, right? That's one I haven't cracked yet. I don't know how to get there. All I can tell you is, talking up our number of contractors, we will compete with our citizens in our military. Because they're going to jump there if they're being paid $10,000 more. Okay? Well, right now, what I'm trying to get parity with is local market. Right? What is the local market paying? How do I know how much they're paying on average? And then how do I compete with that? Anybody here in NSA? Where you work? Anybody else? Billboard outside of NSA. Tesla, come work for X company. Tesla is starting going. How do I compete with that? Right? Salary in NSA area, about $250K per year average. That's much higher than my salary. So that's higher than any civilian pay salary. So how do we compete? We compete with the three options. I can actually match that with the three options. On this side. And there's nothing prohibiting you from doing that today. And your aides will tell you, you can't do that. Your component will tell you, you can't pay that. If you have the data, you can tell them. Because if you're authorized 100, and you only have 60 on hand, that's 40 people, 40 FTEs of salary cap that you're not using. Why can't I keep my 60 or increase it to 70 with incentives? Because the money's there. As a budget guy, I don't want you touching that money because I have other plans for it. So we have the rationale to fight for that if you have the data. Okay, I'm trying to provide the data. But austere locations, I don't have a solution for that.
The 3 R's are specifically for cyber accepted workforce?
Nope, those are open to everybody. That's not even a cyber thing, that's DNR thing.
So if our ED tells us GS11s, we can't pay relocation.
Not true.
This guidance, we can show him and say, yes, we can.
Yes, you can. Oh, and by the way, they're going to tell you this too. If somebody tells you this, I would love to know. If they tell you, we can't give you a retention bonus unless you have a competing offer. I do not want my people going to get a competing offer because they will not stay. I don't even want to give them that option. Right? Not required. Not required in law, not required in policy. At my level. Your component might require it, and that's where we have to fight. Right? I just talked to a Navy component, and they said they offer a retention bonus, 25%, 10 years. Which means you have to serve in that position. You decide that you're going to serve in that position for 10 years, and at the end of 10 years, you get a 25% bonus. So I asked, I'm a Navy guy, awesome program. How many people have signed up? 0. I said, that's a very good program. Why don't you pay them 25% for 1 year of service and pay them every 2 weeks? And they get their own money by the end of the year. So if they quit in 6 months, well, okay, they didn't get the next 6 months. I'm good. That's perfectly legal. I highly recommend it. By the way, everybody in here, supervisors, do you know your top #1 person who you can't afford to lose? Do you know who that is in your mind? Pay them a retention bonus right now. They don't have to know. Just sign the paperwork. They get the bonus in their check. Go, hey, how you doing today? I value what you do for us. You should see a little bump in your check. It's actually a really big bump. Right? Let them know you value them. Now, how many people here know the number N person in their unit? The person who they probably are trying to do a PIP on or something. That person, do not give a retention bonus. Okay? I think your top 5% should always be getting a retention bonus. So if you have 20 people, top person, always on a retention bonus. That sends a message to your entire workforce. It's my suggestion. I can't control it. I can't order you to do that. I recommend that. Okay? I've had many components call me and say, I just lost my top person, my most valuable person. He went over to the VA for a 20% salary increase. I said, why would you pay him a 25% increase? You can go up to 50% if you get OPM approval, which they approved for cyber. Just do it. Fight your ones, fight the components, fight your HR committee on this. Let me know the stories of how you can't do this, and I will try to fight that at a high level. Okay, I know every single one of your component CIOs. They are 100% behind this. They all are. So I can use them to help fight this. Oh, last question.
Flip side, are we working to get rid of people this year?
So I've always said, in order to fix the hiring process, that hiring thing I told you about, we have to fix, I'll say this room, reporters, the firing process. Okay, you have to. So my solution, annual assessments. Annual skills-based assessments. Throw you in a cyber range. If you're not proficient, you immediately go on a PIP. By the way, we do this today. It already exists today in doctors. If you don't get your annual recertifications and certification requirements, you cannot practice medicine. And I guess they're telling us not. So that's my solution to that. I'm not there yet. I will never probably get that through OPM, but I'm trying hard. That would be my solution. Okay, thanks everybody. But just can't help.
I'm running the training. Okay.
Based on DoD requirements.
I literally I'm thinking for a minute now.
He's DoD, not Army though, so we'll see. What? No, making a joke.
Right now, the data I'm seeing, absolutely. Okay.